Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today, my friends, we're back with an Empire vs. Bretonnia showdown. It's always like watching Iron Man fight Captain America and the Avengers, but nonetheless, it has to happen sometimes. So it is going to be the old boy FRANZ facing off against Lewin. So guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the army here. Now, as far as the build goes, this map's certainly quite favorable for me, I would say. Bretonnia obviously doesn't want to be forced into a choke. They don't have the, I guess they do have artillery, and trebuchets can actually be okay against the Empire. I'm sure you guys remember way back when, I think it was Random Nix was playing in a faction war against Empire, and he brought like 4 or 5 field trebuchets and was like killing Demogryph Knights and things like that. So the trebuchets, can be an X factor, but as far as like the builds go and what's here on the battlefield, having this high ground position, having like some natural choke points, it really does limit the dynamic play of Bretonnian heavy cavalry. Nonetheless, they can still be effective, of course, but it doesn't hurt. Hellblaster Volley Gun in the back line. We got Spearmen. We do have the Royal Altdorf Griffites as well. And 2 wagons, Karl Franz, and an unbreakable front line. So we do also have crossbowmen. So I've been kind of experimenting because I find so many times in this matchup, the peasant bowmen just get so much value against you. They're just sitting there, just taking fat dumps on your Demogryph Knights with poison and just whittling your stuff down. So I was like, you know what? Crossbowmen with a Hellblaster Volley Gun, maybe that will be enough to mitigate the effectiveness of the Bretonnian Archer Corps. So we're going to give it a try. We got a Jade Wizard here, double War Wagon. War Wagons are actually super good against Bretonnia. Good at sniping the Lords, good at sniping the Paladins, really good against any of the heavy cavalry. And they can also, serve as a battering ram against like lower tier infantry and things like that. So I really do like them. Now for the army here of Ice Power Total War, he does have King Lewin up in the sky. Front line of peasant mobs backed up by men-at-arms with shields, peasant archers. Very, very standard Bretonnia. You can occasionally see battle pilgrims in this matchup, but I find that this is kind of the way to go. Just like cheap infantry and just use your questing knights and knights of the realm to win. And that looks like it is his composition. Yeah. So triple questing knight, double knight of the realm. He's got a life caster as well as King Lewin, which is pretty cool. It's refreshing to see Lewin instead of Fey Enchantress, but Fey Enchantress is very good here with double paladin. That's partially why I go FRANZ though. FRANZ is very much like a surgical scalpel. You can get him in here with Gul Miraz popped and he can like 2 or 3 shot these paladins, like really put them in the trash can super hard. Granted, they can still give it back to you and FRANZ can get trapped in cavalry and you can instantly lose the game. So it's not like it's like some huge, advantage you have. It's just FRANZ is capable of digging out those characters. Although I do love Volkmar in this matchup, I find that if I go Volkmar, I just lose the Fey double paladin, too easily. So FRANZ is, he's one of those characters too that really can be a hard carry. Even if everything else in your game is going very badly, the Emperor can put the game on his back. He can whip out that fat Gul Miraz of his and really do some work for sure. So Hellblaster Volley Gun, wasting ammunition on peasants, but usually the fight here is quite fast and furious, so I'm not too worried about using a little bit of ammunition here. And we do pick off one knight of the realm using the war wagons, and FRANZ just goes and routes off some peasants, which is fine. Obviously a unit can only break so many times before it begins to shatter, right? Or it does shatter. So, getting a free route right there certainly doesn't hurt. So at this point, FRANZ is going to be pulling back up in the sky, King Lewin coming after him. So he's going to get the jump on me a little bit. I think at this point we just turn around and decide to fight, which is a little bit scary. Or do we run? Yeah, we pop all the abilities. So I do lose out in the charge bonus, but I think with Gul Miraz and Reichland Runefang active, FRANZ is going to have a super dominating engagement here. And yeah, you can see Lewin really getting the business. And despite him getting away from me and being faster, we still got some good damage. So I think that trade was worth it. Now FRANZ can, go on to greener pastures and see how that goes. So crossbowmen just shooting in right now, but I should be shooting at the peasant bowmen. But I was so focused on this aerial engagement here. And FRANZ is actually able to get a little bit of acceleration and catch your boy, King Lewin, who's now going to be getting a regrowth. So that's quite nice. No regrowth for the companions anytime soon. And it was overcasted. And we also got overcast damage there on that damsel. In the front, though, Bretonnia gets in with a really nice charge, just a pure shock charge here in the flagellants, and I'm a little bit slow to respond with the Royal Altdorf Griffites. Nonetheless, they still get some work in, hammer some men-at-arms. It's free real estate, man. We'll take it. And the fight up in the sky carries on. I typically find that in sustained combat, Lewin will do very well, but if FRANZ has his items active and does get the jump there, he is going to be winning that engagement very easily. So FRANZ does get the charge. We do also have the Royal Altdorf Griffites nearby. And now you can see my crossbowmen are trading in with the peasant bowmen, but ultimately, despite a little bit of a delay on focusing those guys down, I feel like the crossbowmen were a little bit of a weird decision here. And also, Ice Power does a very good job of getting the questing knights up in the middle and really getting into my back line. Granted, the spearmen are going to collapse and get some value. On that same note, we do break Lewin, so he took a bunch of damage despite getting healed, enough to break his leadership. So FRANZ and the Royal Altdorf Griffites are now going to be going back and engaging against these questing knights. And questing knights do trade very, very cost efficiently with your elite cavalry. And that's one of the reasons why it's a little bit tricky. I would say this matchup overall is probably a little bit Bretonnian favored these days. maybe like a 60-40 or 55-45. Nothing extreme. It's certainly a matchup that if you are an Empire player, you can feel comfortable playing if you're practiced in it and you have gotten some experience. But in the backfield, the Hellblaster volley gun's still going strong. I don't see any Bretonnian cavalry lurking anywhere nearby. Most of them did go right up the pipe there, and we were able to get a decent fight with our Royal Altdorf Griffites. And now Franz is going to be coming in once again. He's like, Lewin, I got to teach you this lesson, man. I got the Warhammer. I am Warhammer. He's like, I am the Warhammer. He's like the Walter White. Moving in here, going after King Lewin, but Lewin is very slippery. He's got 100 speed, whereas Franz does have 90, so he's got those moves, man. He is a very, very slick Bretonnian there. But Karl Franz continuing to hammer down the companions. I would imagine he's already gotten some substantial value. Now, this was probably one of the more depressing parts of the game for me. I was feeling pretty good. I was like, okay, there's some, mixed fighting in the front line, but we've done some work against the Knights. But suddenly the dreaded Hellblaster volley gun line of sight thing, where I didn't have it in guard mode. I was trying to shoot some archers or cavalry that were like slightly down in the ravine here. I think it was these Knights of the Realm. So the Hellblaster volley gun crew had the brilliant idea of moving down there to attack those targets. So I was like, oh god, my Hellblaster, it's like my anchor piece with which I win the late game, right? But now it's moving into the melee ranks, which is quite hilarious for sure. But we'll see if it loses me the game. It most certainly could. So hold your horses, guys. We'll see how this unfolds. Nonetheless, here though, War Wagons have gotten back to safer waters, which is actually a really good song by Chevelle. If you guys are a fan of Chevelle, look up the song Safer Waters. Quite good. And the War Wagon's still shooting away into the Knights of the Realm. And this is really big, though. Franz is really trying to put this game on his back. He goes in and just gives Lewin the business, man. Gal Maraz, Reichlin Runefang. He's got his sword in one hand, his hammer in the other. And Lewin is broken, running for the hills, negative 60 leadership. And Franz going in for the death blow. And the King of Bretonnia falls to the Emperor. Franz doing some serious work there. Stand your ground. All those goodies activated here. So despite that, the balance of power is still, relatively even. I mean, I'm a little bit ahead, but it still felt very scary. All the peasant bowmen here are coming back. Clearly, my plan to use the crossbowmen, which is still not a cheap investment. I mean, it's not expensive either, but it didn't pan out. The crossbowmen just kind of got dunked on a little bit. Here you can see some of the poor souls are being taken to the lady with the pitchforks and hoes of these peasant mobs here. Knights of the Realm also lancing into the back. And now Franz is really going to have to get some work in. There's still some substantial threats from the Bretonnian Knights. There's a nice little pocket here of 13. I think we have 14 right here, as well as 29 Knights of the Realm and Peasant Archers, which can really poke into my goodies. And a lot of the bounce of power for me is sitting in this Hellblaster volley gun, which is like completely exposed right now. If all the peasant bowmen wanted to kind of switch and start going balls deep on this thing, it could happen, and I could be in some big trouble. So this was definitely very stressful, despite the bounce of power being in my favor here. And this is what I'm talking about. The Royal Altdorf Griffites just getting focused down by a bunch of, God knows where those peasants dip those poison arrows. But, it's getting some work in. And, Franz takes a little bit of damage there. Bounce of power kind of creeps back. And now the Hellblaster volley gun is about to be attacked by the companions. Now, there's only 12 of them, which is good. It means that the Hellblaster volley gun crew will have a little bit more time to fight. And the spearmen are going to be moving in to intercept the archers, which is quite huge. One basic spearman here probably will be able to force back 2 peasant archers, because this game is still, relatively contested. Also, one of my war wagons was finally caught. The Knights of the Realm, with superior speed, were able to catch the fine engineering here of Sigmar, and those war wagons are going to be broken, probably losing models, and he has shut down that threat for now. But the unsung heroes here, the 61 spearmen, I was expecting a bit of a different number there, but, you can't always win in life. They are going to be moving in to go after those peasant bowmen, while Franz is basically just trying to take the head off the snake and get rid of the knights. I mean, he's already taken the head off the snake, but it's kind of like a Hydra, right? It has a couple heads. The other head of the snake here is the Knights of the Realm and the heavy cavalry. Because everything else can just be terror routed. My state troops can kind of fight their way through the men-at-arms and peasants and things like that. But dealing with the elite knights here really is the most important thing here in the game. While the spearmen keep moving back, it looks like the damsel's going to be able to kind of clean that up. But on the bright side of things, we also got the Hellblaster volley gun back online, so that thing's going to start shooting soon. Franz a little bit surrounded, but we do get an Earthblood here. This was a very, very tense situation. Franz was taking some work, but, for once his men came to him, and the spearmen able to move in, push back those Knights of the Realm and those different units, while Karl Franz himself chases those bad boys down. So now the bounce of power, I started to feel a little bit more comfortable. A lot of the Bretonnian forces were en route. Franz was relatively healthy and not close to his healing cap either. So he had a little bit of room to work with there while he jumps on this damsel and really, really just gives her the business. And yeah, it looks like she's going to break off. Peasant archers are going to be the next prey. And now Bretonnia is in a bit of a mass exodus as the Emperor is just going to be getting picks. And that will be GG. Now, guys, get ready for this. This might be a record as far as quick battles, or not quick battles, but 1v1s go. Obviously 1v1 in a tournament format, but look at the value on Franz. I think he got over 5,000. Oh, it was so close. 4,958. Now, if you guys have replays of really, really good value being accrued on certain characters, especially like meme characters in a competitive environment, because obviously Ice Power Total War is an amazing top tier player, right? So if you can get that kind of value there, man, FRANZ really put that game on his back. And yeah, he just, because Ice Power, I feel he got better engagements across many aspects of the game. I think it was just Lewin versus FRANZ that was able to get me the game. My archers were subpar. My Demogryph Knight play was okay. They got 2,000 gold, so I'm quite happy with that. Wagons, yeah, the wagons really were inefficient, right? So he shut those down. He shut down my crossbowmen. I blundered super hard with my artillery piece, but FRANZ put that game on his back for Sigmar and did it. So very well played, Ice Power. It was quite a fun series we had, and you guys, of course, saw the first game there. And the other one I'll be posting soon, but yeah, FRANZ is so good. So as far as amendments to this build go, let's go to the drawing board on this. The crossbowman idea was fun, but I feel like at the end of the day, it was just weak. So let's go ahead here. And again, we'll play to Ice Ice, baby. And we will go to the custom battles. Take a look over here at the Sons of Sigmar. And I do have an Empire build here. Still in the process of moving, guys. So I'm like recording in the living room. So my apologies if there's some echo here. So Empire versus Bretonnia. Yeah, so this is what I usually use, which I think is a bit of a more sound build. You have the extra Demogryph Knight, which I think is quite strong. So you can go this, cut that, cut this, and then go something like this if you want to. Yeah, we need to like you could like free up money somewhere. Just cut him and get like another spearman or something. So this one, you don't have flagellants. Your front line's a little bit more fickle. I do feel like this build's stronger overall because the Empire Knights are really good at breaking down just trashy Bretonian infantry and like peasant archers. And, you know, it's just a more consistent build. It has less, you know, vulnerabilities, and I think it's just overall stronger. You can also use the Empire Knights with FRANZ to fight, like, Bretonian cavalry. If you have, like, Runefang active and things like that, they can actually trade pretty damn well. So yeah, give it a try, guys. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this bad boy. And hopefully soon I'll be back to my regular streams. It's been a real fiasco down here, so... Because we moved, and then the place we moved to had some issues, so we had to move out of that place. It's just like, oh my god, just drama galore. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for your support and sticking around in these trying times. And we'll be back with streams and all sorts of good stuff once we get rooted. All right, guys, take care, stay safe, avoid Nurgle's Plague. You know the drill. Drink some water. Yeah, and that's it. Cheers, guys.